Craig of the Creek is a Cartoon Network cartoon that premiered in 2018 and has 4 seasons. But next year, which is this year, a 5th season is set to release in April, and a movie which nothing is known yet. And due to the success they are having with both that series and Craig of the Creek, everything indicates that they are on their way to becoming a kind of icon for cartoons in this new era of Cartoon Network. Anyway, now that we know a little more about this series, we can start to talk about the cartoon. This cartoon has 3 main characters: Craig, Kelsey, and JP, Juan Pablo. The 3 kids meet every summer afternoon at the creek to play and enjoy the outdoors before dinner time. As the show progresses, Craig and his friends face challenges and obstacles, such as dealing with the creek's self-appointed king, Xavier, who tries to assert his dominance over the area, and navigating the complexities of growing up and navigating the changing dynamics of their relationships. Throughout the series, Craig and his friends encounter a variety of eccentric characters and embark on imaginative adventures, such as battling mythical creatures, solving mysteries, and engaging in epic games of capture the flag. They also learn valuable life lessons about friendship, teamwork, and the importance of creativity and imagination. But they are not alone, as all the kids in the city do the same activity during their summer afternoons, creating a kind of mini society where there is even a kiosk called the Barter Tree, managed by a girl named Kit. The trading tree is a trading post, as well as the name for the gathering place it is located at within the creek. It is managed by Kit, who also discovered the area. It is a hub of activity in the creek, attracting any kid who can trade things for snacks, medicine, and supplies. If you give her something she is looking for, she will give you some kind of snack or treat. During the first season, the objective is to incorporate secondary characters and generate a certain fondness for them, as well as to deepen into the characteristic aspects of the 3 main characters. I know some may find this a bit boring because there is no story to follow yet, but you know what the formula for these types of children's cartoons is. Throughout the series, we see how the personality of Craig, the leader, is formed. He has an obsession with creating a map of the creek, which he completes throughout the series. Kelsey contributes willpower and sacrifice to the team as the warrior spirit, and JP remains JP, all things that will be fundamental for when a decisive moment arrives. But before talking about that moment, we must tell a little about the 2nd season, where a story begins that at first glance you may not be able to notice. Everything begins in episode 7 of the 2nd season, which has double the normal duration. In this episode, Craig the Adventurer decides to deliver a popsicle to a boy named the Green Poncho, a guardian who watches over the bridge to prevent anyone from crossing to the other side of the creek. The creek has 2 parts, one where Craig believes the map is located, and the other part is ruled by a king. Craig becomes friends with the guardian, and he asks them if they can watch the bridge for a little while he goes to gather some information. The friends accept the job, but they are captured by the Honeysuckle Rangers, a peculiar duo that reminds one of the Team Rocket from Pokemon. They steal Craig's bag and take it to King Xavier. After several events, the Green Poncho saves them and gives them disguises to escape from the Royal Guard. Our friends then embark on a journey to recover the valuable map, because with this instrument, the power of the king could threaten the other side of the creek with an imminent invasion. They manage to snatch the map from the Honeysuckle team, although they are eventually captured and taken to the king with their loot, hoping for a reward worthy of their capture, the coveted title of best friends to the king. Despite the effort it took to achieve all this, King Xavier only thanks them and nothing more. This is the moment that leads to the first confrontation between Maya and Kelsey, a rivalry that will be revisited later. But for now, the group finally escapes from that side with the map and is safe. This story will be put on hold for now, and in parallel, another interesting plot of this series opens up, that of the creek's ancestors. It all begins when 3 friends decide to explore a certain place in the creek, but during their journey, they rest on a rock that, upon sitting on it, causes them to fall into a sort of cave. After investigating it, they discover that the cave is actually that of the founders of the creek, the cave of the first children to play there dating back to 1976. There they find a letter that seemed to be in Old Spanish, but in reality it was a code of symbols that Craig deciphered. The message made it clear that in those ancient times, there was a game called Capture the Flag that got completely out of control. So much so that it caused damage to the children's society of that time to the point where they could never play there again. So, in this cave, the group finds a map with the emblematic places of the creek at the time it was drawn. Although it appears to be more of a sketch than a detailed map, it becomes relevant when Craig decides to trace it, and with his friends visit those places to validate the authenticity of the map. They decide to dig until they find what it tells them, and while they search for clues of that fatal war, there was not much information about the event. There was nothing until they go to the Game Master's chest, a place where there is currently a house belonging to a forest ranger boy named Jason, with whom Craig and his friends do not have the best relationship. So they came up with a plan, with JP and Kelsey distracting him while Craig sneaks in to find the chest. The plan works, and Craig gets a book that explains the rules and teams of the Capture the Flag game. They finally come across a final riddle that has a certain connection with the Capture the Flag game. When they solve it, a rope unfolds from the highest point of the cave, leaving a briefcase that treasures the flags used many years ago. And it's precisely with those flags where the most important plot of the series begins. And then King Xavier makes his appearance. Yes, the same king from the other side of the creek that I already mentioned. The thing is that the king offers a huge amount of free candies, but the cost is that the entire creek must be under his orders. After a vote from the council, they accept Xavier's proposal without thinking about the terrible consequences it could lead to. During the following days, the king decides to demolish all the places Craig had drawn on his map with such dedication, and prohibit most fun activities because he couldn't stand losing in any kind of game. It was a fussy and spoiled king, which annoyed Craig so much that he decided to seek help to try to obtain information on how to remove the king from his throne. Among many things, he discovered that Xavier lived and met with his older sister, King Cheyenne, the so-called former king who had grown up and left the throne to their respective successor. This is how they found Xavier's older brother, Kenneth, the inventor of the Creek royalty. He explained to them how this tradition originated and how it has been distorted over the years, leading to the current level of tyranny. The group of friends asked him if he could report Xavier to his parents for all the chaos he was causing in the creek, but Kenneth explained that this would not make any sense, since the reason why his younger brother is the way he is because their parents always grant his every whim. After this little adventure, where they meet a legend of the creek, Craig made the decision that the only way to recover the fun of the creek is with a game in which everything would be at stake: the total domination of the creek. If Craig's team and his friends obtain the flag and cross the bridge before the other team, the creek would be a place full of fun. However, in the case of losing, Craig would be exiled from it, and everything would be in the hands of the king. The game is clearly Capture the Flag. So Grace enters the king's own house, presenting him with the challenge, which he clearly accepts. The king's side would carry the blue flag, and Craig's side the red flag, as expected. Craig meets with his friends to plan and recruit new soldiers. That's how they decide to go look for the characters that have been presented to us throughout the seasons, including Omar, the green poncho, in case you don't remember. Once this is done, they proceed to carry out a strategy that would ensure victory, and so the game begins. On the other hand, we're talking a lot about the offensive side, but someone has to defend the red flag, and for that, there is JP with a group of children, while the powerful warrior Maya defends the king's flag. As you are thinking, she has no difficulty in obtaining the flag and begins her return to the other side. Omar's and Kelsey's teams defeat the Guardians defending the possible places where the flag could be, and after confirming that they did not have it, they start to return to the limit to prevent Maya from returning with the flag. They manage to confront her with the sole objective of stopping her for a short while until Craig returns with the flag to win the game. As expected, the plan fails on all sides due to the lack of order that exists on Craig's side. This leaves only 3 teams: Omar's, Kelsey's, and Craig's. Each of them would go to the bases where the king's flag was supposed to be. Finally, Craig's team is the one who finds the flag, which is located in Xavier's cloak. He faces Xavier, who seems to be at a disadvantage. but with the help of his friends, he manages to obtain the blue flag and bring it back to his side. They meet at the limit with the battle between Kelsey and Omar against Maya, who manages to stop her, allowing Kate to pass and give the victory to Craig's team, finally dethroning King Xavier once and for all. After this adventure, there is room for future seasons to develop more about the new side of the creek, that little discovered place, so there is no doubt that many adventures and characters will appear within this same world.